Welcome to Thought for Thursdays. It's great to be with you again in the middle of another working week. And the longer these restrictions continue in different forms, the more laterally I have to think. And there's a phrase that's been on all of our lips over these last few weeks, which is test and trace. And I couldn't help thinking how typical that was of the way that Victorian England thought about the Almighty, that he's constantly testing us and then tracing us to see what we're doing and watching over us. And I suppose a favourite verse in those days would have been in 2 Chronicles 16, where it says in verse 9, "For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is loyal to him." But actually, when you look at that, you realize that it's not a threat. It's actually a promise, the goodness of God watching over us. And maybe, one of the things that we can do at the moment is to see test and trace as a promise rather than as a threat. But I want to pick up on the thought of really God's heart for us and to know just how much he does want to protect us and how he does watch over us. That Victorian idea that God is constantly trying to mark us, to see if we pass the exam is a little bit far-fetched, because it puts the whole question of God's salvation onto a whole platform of works. How well are we performing? And it's as if God wants to be checking that all the time and setting our eternal destiny according to our works rather than according to his grace. And then when we think about tracing, it's almost as if God's got it in for us, whereas in fact his heart is so committed to us that he wants to watch over us. Now, I don't want to back off from the fact that we've got a God who's powerful and we need to keep his standards and to maintain his precepts, but I also have this wonderful sense of God's protection and God's love. And I want you to know that too. And I want you to know that he's not testing us in order to weigh us to find out if we're wanting, because he's already given us his righteousness, and that is amazing. It's like it shifts the scale pans from being against us to being for us, because the righteousness of God stands there on our behalf. And when it comes to tracing us, yes, he does watch over us with so much love and with so much care. And I just am thrilled with the fact that his great promise to us is he will never leave us or forsake us. So as you think about test and trace, and we're going to hear a lot about it, do realize that that's not exactly the way to take God's heart if you're still seeing it in Victorian terms of a threatening God. But do realize that he has paid a price for us, and that he indeed loves us and cares for us and watches over us. Well, I look forward to talking to you again next week, and maybe thinking in a different direction about something that we're facing at this time, because it's good to think, isn't it? And it's good to be thinking together. So I do look forward to seeing you again. If you need any of my resources meantime, do go to hughosgood.com. But let's meet together again next Thursday. Every blessing.